Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it appears that something tragic has occurred in the gacha space, ladies and gentlemen. It appears that something absolutely brutal has happened. The number 3, or maybe number 4, perhaps number 5 Kurobot in the space has been canceled, ladies and gentlemen. And he owes us a bit of an explanation. We've got Glaivekiyo on the screen apologizing, maybe not actually, but still giving us an explanation for one of the videos that he uploaded regarding Genshin Impact version 6.2. And I'm going to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, taking a look at some of the statistics, I can see why. That is a lot of dislikes. Don't worry, I'm just taking that for the thumbnail of our video later. That is a lot of dislikes for a channel that is known for making a lot of content that is critical about Genshin Impact. That is very frequently very, very well received. But it appears in this circumstance, he did not actually cook. A lot of people in the comments saying, I don't spread misinformation, I just lie. This video in a nutshell is, I want to complain, but I don't know about what. The one friend who hates anything, if misinformation was a person, good golly gee, it appears that the entire brigade is here. He's even got other content creators known for their Genshin Impact fan base going out and reacting to him as well. This has to be rage bait from Brand Online, but do also keep in mind that this is also what Brand has said about Genshin Impact. Just so you know, this is from the video itself. I don't want to put any words in people's mouths over here.
Be all and end all of Genshin, dude. The game's in probably the best state it has ever been in right now.
So that's the cut that we'll use. And well, let's just say that Brand responded kind of negatively to Glaive's video, because I guess he wasn't critical about Genshin in the ways that Brand wanted him to be. You can see what's going on in the Brand Online comment section over here, and it's not surprising at all that the people from Brand Online's comment section would go on over to Glaive's, cause this entire situation over here, because, well, I'll be the first one to tell you that Brand Online's community is one of the biggest brigading communities in the space. If he doesn't like something, don't worry, his fans will let you know that he doesn't like something. That's actually what's going on over here. That entire situation has occurred, ladies and gentlemen. And it's clear that Glaivekiyo appears to be the villain in this circumstance. So why don't we go ahead, be the objective party in this situation, and see just how bad it actually is for one of my companions.
For the past few days, there has been a narrative going around that I am a tourist, an outsider who doesn't play the game, doesn't care about the lore, and is just here to farm drama because I got a few facts wrong. And usually when a content creator goes into a situation like this, the instinct is to double down, to make a clapback video, turn up the saturation, and start a war to farm engagement. And if you follow me on Twitter, you know that is exactly what I've been doing over there. I have been fanning the flames and laughing at the backlash.
So this is my take on whatever Glaive is doing. He's being an absolute dipshit about this. And he's not a dipshit for the reasons that you might think. I'm not calling him a dipshit because he's going out and he's farming. I think it's actually great that he's farming. I'm calling him a dipshit because he doesn't have Twitter Blue. Because this is what happens when you have Twitter Blue. You're able to take all these posts that are clearly out to rage bait people, draw their attention, have them commenting, have them retweeting, and he's not making money off of it. Yeah, if you have Twitter Blue, the more people you're able to rage bait, the more money you can generate via ads. And so Glaive is essentially trying to do all this rage baiting, but getting no money out of it. Doesn't that sound kind of like a dipshit thing to do? That just sounds dumb, doesn't it? Yeah, so that's why I just wanted to say that.
Because frankly, seeing people lose their minds over blatant rage bait tweets was funny to me. But
so go make money off of it too, dipshit!
here on this channel, I am not doing that. Because while Twitter is a circus, this channel is where I actually care. And the truth is, regarding the video I posted here, the community was right on a few specific points. I let my exhaustion and my frustration cloud my accuracy, and I made mistakes that I need to own up to. However, on the core issues, the system, the monetization, and the direction of the game, I haven't changed my mind. In fact,
so I think what happened over here is that Glaive probably had in this video some minor details that he was incorrect about. And, well, this is how it goes when it comes to invalidating somebody's argument when you don't have much of a leg to stand on. And this is the Hoyo Shill approach. And it's happened to me in Zenless Zone Zero quite often. You'll have a point that's 99% correct. But you'll have 1% of something that isn't technically actually correct. You'll have 1% that's wrong. And instead of looking at the 99% that's correct, you'll focus on the 1% that's wrong and then conflate that 1% that's incorrect to mean that the entire argument was wrong. And spoiler warning, we might take a look at the part, but that's what Brand did in this video. Basically, he honed in on one situation where Glaive got 99% of the details correct, got 1% of it wrong, and then Brand was just talking about how wrong that 1% was for like 5 minutes. Maybe less, maybe like 2 or 3 minutes. But then that completely missed the point of the other 99% that Glaive was trying to say. And that's why you have so many individuals in Glaive's comments section talking about misinformation, all of that. And it's a dangerous thing. But then again, guys, right? When this is what somebody's going to say about the game, is it really that surprising if they're going to do their best to defend it?
Be all and end all of Genshin. Dude, the game's in probably the best state it has ever been in right now.
And I just want to focus on the best state the game has ever been in right now. The amount of power creep in the game following version 5.3 has been unprecedented. You have literally introduced characters that deal 50 to 100% more damage than every other team in the game. You have started adding endgame modifiers where now the baseline floors cannot be cleared. The baseline floors cannot be cleared without you literally having Ascendant Gleam, the new Nod Cry passive. If you don't have it, the enemy has 2 HP bars in the Spiral Abyss. If you don't have Lunar Charge, if you don't have if you don't have Lunar Bloom, you literally can't interact with Stygian Onslaught. They've added so much shit that literally makes the game unplayable in the endgame. If you don't pull on every new unit that's coming out, how the fuck can it be in the best state it's ever been? Oh, wait. Bran is a story enjoyer. Bran doesn't play the endgame. And so, do you guys see what I just did over here? I just ridiculed Bran. I just took one statement that he made that is a little bit incorrect, and I focused on how incorrect that small percentage was, and then disregarded the rest of what he was probably saying. And I was doing this for a reason, guys, because Bran plays this game for the story. He's not really a big endgame extraordinaire. Otherwise, how the fuck could he be saying this about the game when the game's endgame is in the worst state it's ever been? He probably means to say, dude, the game's story is probably in the best state it's ever been. The game's overall gameplay and story is in the best state it's ever been. That would be a true statement. But he didn't specify over here. He just said it's the best state it's ever been. And rather than me give the space, but I did right here, right? I gave him the space to recognize that he's probably talking about the story. But if he's talking about the end game, any of that, it's steaming dog shit. It's the worst in the history of the game. So how the fuck could he be saying this? But that's the difference, right? Between reacting to defend versus reacting to react. And my take is that Bran, in this video, was reacting to defend Genshin Impact as opposed to actually listen to the takes that Glaive is making. And do you see how easy it is to take somebody's take, which I just did using Bran as an example, and take the 1%, the 5% that's wrong, and use it to invalidate the entire argument. Even though there are elements that he's probably correct about here. It's just that simple.
In fact, there is a reaction to my video, and it only convinced me that we need to have this conversation even more. So
He's probably talking about Bran's reaction.
today, I want to clear the air. I want to apologize for where I was wrong, correct the record on where I was right, and explain why being a disappointed fan is not the same thing as being a fake one. Now let's talk about the state of Genshin Impact. To have an honest conversation about the state of the game, I have to start by being honest about my own work. In my last video, I made a specific claim about the history of 0.2 patches, calling them filler. Looking back at the timeline, Dragon Spine in version 1.2, and all of the 0.2 versions going forward, that statement was objectively incorrect. I was wrong. The truth is, I allowed the absolute drought of version 6.1, which by the way, statistically had the lowest event count in the game's history for the 0.1 patches, to color my view of the entire cycle. And maybe you don't feel that way.
Glaive is basically talking about over here the fact that he was technically spreading misinformation about Genshin 1.1. Let me just show you an example of this whole, oh, okay, I'm really gonna hone in on one thing that's being said over here and really drag it out and miss the point of the rest of the argument. You can already see the post over here in the comments section. X 1 point whatever X is filler, right? Let's just hear this point. And you'll notice I'm on this pause frame for a while.
Nation wears off are usually pretty quiet. They are kind of like the filler patches where we save our primo gems and maybe do a festival event. But
So this is where he says 1.2 patches are like filler events or like filler patches.
Wait, am I insane? Am I crazy?
And this is where Brand starts going in about how crazy it is to say that the 0.2 versions are filler patches.
Maybe I'm crazy. I need to go back and look at this. I feel like I'm being gaslit here, dude. Point 2 might sometimes be kind of more...
It's like, okay, bro said that they were filler patches, but it's like, we're also like 2 minutes into the video, so we couldn't have even heard any of the points that he was making. I can always understand getting shell-shocked by a take that you think is crazy, but there's always the opportunity of, oh, maybe let's let him cook for a little bit. Bro did not even get to cook anything that he was potentially saying over here.
Interlude.
We're just like going in on that. And that's the thing that's going to happen, right? Is that there's no real sequencing at all, I would say, in this react, right? There's not really much of an open mind being had. Maybe it's this statement at the start that really teed up the discussion to be like ridiculous. Maybe that's what it was. And then they were never going to get on the right track after this one, but it's rough. It's rough. And I can see now when such a big emphasis is being placed on statements that just really aren't that relevant in the whole scope of things. It's like a minor one-off detail about the 1.2 patches being filler, but that's how big of a deal is being made about those things. And so my take is that I hope that the rest of this video focuses in on how illegitimate it is that so much focus is being placed on things that are so irrelevant to the entire discussion. Because that's the Hoyo Shill agenda. That is the Hoyo Shill agenda. Don't actually attack the main argument. Attack a tangent that you can prove, and then try to say that this one proven tangent somehow invalidates the rest of the argument. And unfortunately, what needs to be understood is that Brand has a lot of retarded children in his community that will easily take that half-constructed narrative, that incomplete reasoning, and then go repeat it verbatim elsewhere. And that is the only thing you have to keep in mind when you look at this comment section. It's a verbatim one-to-one copy of what's in Brand's. A legitimate one-to-one copy. I don't know what it is. His community has like a fetishism with like parroting. They're not able to construct thoughts on their own. They don't have individual opinions. That's why everything in this video is a carbon copy of what's in this video. That's a Hoyo Shill community. And while Brand might think that he's taken off the fetters of being a Hoyo Shill CC, clearly, he hasn't done a full job of it.
with me not liking Miliastra Wonderland, and with no regional expansions either, I projected the dryness of the last 6 weeks onto the last 5 years.
That's fair. Basically, Glaive was talking about how dog shit the 6.1 Genshin patch was, where they focus more on the UGC than actually Nod Cry. It was an absolute fucking piss shed. Yeah, and he said, oh, this last patch was so bad, I accidentally put too much negative thoughts in the current one.
That was a lapse in judgment, and that is on me, and I apologize. Related to that, I also misspoke regarding Miliastra Wonderland. I used an analogy about paying for paint, and that didn't land because, yes, the base tools are free. It was a clumsy metaphor that distracted from the actual conversation I wanted to have about labor ethics.
Wait, I need to see that part again.
It is like inviting someone to paint a mural on your wall for free, and then charging them for the paint. What? But anyway...
Not really. Okay. Hold on. Sorry.
Effectively monetizes the community's attempt to fix the lack of content. It is like inviting someone to paint a mural on your wall for free and then charging them for the paint. What?
Okay. No. I get what he's trying to say. It's a fucking terrible analogy though. Holy shit, dude. No. I mean, that'd be the case if they were, if you went to go make a
So this is the proper way to react to this statement. You giggle a little bit at how not good the analogy is. Then you say, okay, I get what they're trying to say. And then after you say, I get what they're trying to say, you then say what they're trying to say. That's the thing. It's like, bro.
Asian Miliasha Wonderland, and then when you made it, it was like, please pay us to promote this. Yes, then it'd be different. It's actually
like, he doesn't even say what he's trying to say, though. Like, this is the thing. Guys, I'm telling you this. I'm saying this if Brand cares at all about his relationship with non-Genshin CCs. Brand, you gotta understand that your audience is filled with dumb fucking people. And because your audience is filled with dumb people, you need to do extra work to explain your thought processes to them. Because right over here, you're just making Glaive look like a retard, not providing any of the reasons for why what he said was dumb, and then just like going off on tangents to explain your reasoning. Just make it clear why what he said is incorrect rather than leaving it like so like open in the air for your audience to decide what he did wrong. Because then you're leaving the decision to a bunch of fucking idiots. Because we've clearly, like, I don't think you want this to happen, right? I don't think you want your community to go brigade every single video that you disagree with and then start spawning comment threads that are in the thousands, echoing the exact points of criticism that you have in your video that are like, you can clearly see over here, this is incomplete. It's not constructive. And I think that's the main piece, is that this criticism in this react is not constructive at all. It doesn't ever get into, okay, this is like actually what he meant to say. This would be a better way to phrase it. Blah, blah, blah. It's just, hey, yeah, all this stuff is wrong. It's just wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. Why is it wrong? It's wrong. That's why you don't see any shred of intelligent comment in here, man. That's why you don't see anything that's constructive, anything that's helpful. The only thing you see in this comments thread is, Glaive, you're wrong because you're wrong. Why are you wrong? Because you're wrong. And when that's the only thing that was said during the entire react by Brand, he's wrong and it's wrong and it's wrong and he's wrong because it's wrong. What are we even doing here? There's nothing like this. This has not moved the space forward at all. The conversation has not shifted. Nothing is actually happening other than he's now getting spammed with he's wrong. But then 90% of the comments don't even say what is wrong. And when that is the end result of your video, at least when I shit on somebody, right? At least when I shit on a video, my people, they might go into a comment section and then say verbatim what I said, right? But the difference is that the stuff that I say is constructive. Here's how it should have been said instead. Here's how it should have been portrayed instead. This is confusing because of XYZ. I would have preferred if they did this. But instead, it's just laugh for 20 seconds. Let's say it's wrong. Brother, you got to understand that at this point, your audience has already missed the opportunity for you to explain this. And now the only lingering feeling they have left from this video is it's wrong because it's wrong. Otherwise, the comment section would not look like this. People would actually have reasons. People would list out specific examples. People would list out the reasons for why what Glaive did was fucked up or didn't make sense. But instead, it's just wrong. You're wrong because you're wrong. Brother.
So I'm retracting that specific comparison. I made a few videos about Miliastra already, talking about how it's so hated, and I got carried away because they did nothing to address the issues, gave us polls, and people are calling them generous for it. It is frustrating, to be honest, but that is why I was tilted. Finally, I want to address the comments about my tone. People mentioned that I sounded detached, and some people took that as a sign that I don't care about the game anymore. I am not detached. I am burnt out. That flatness you heard wasn't a lack of passion. It was just exhaustion. But let's not talk about me, right? Let's talk about my opinions.
Hey, how about y'all stop being all weird and shit? Yeah, how about y'all just stop being weird and shit? Ooh, I didn't like how this guy sounded this one day. Does he have a mental illness? Unless you're clearly going into it with the impression of just making fun of a guy. Yeah, I don't really get the point of like fucking parasocially guessing from their tone of fucking voice in a pre-recorded video how they feel about a goddamn game.
Because I don't want your pity, I want your trust. While I accept the criticism on my history and my tone, there is one narrative going around that I need to shut down right now. The idea that I am a tourist, that I am an outsider who doesn't actually play the game anymore and just here to farm drama. Now let's look at the receipts. Because in version 6.1, the very patch people claim I didn't play, I spent $1,000 to see 6 Nefer. I
Who asked?
streamed the Milliastra Wonderland for hours.
Who
and
asked?
I don't say this to flex, I say it to make a very specific point. At tourist visits, I live here. I have a crippling gambling addiction. I am the one funding the server so free-to-play players can enjoy the game. So when I criticize Genshin, I am not doing it as a hater looking in from the outside. I am doing it as a high-investment customer who wants the product to match the price tag.
You know what I will say? Tone really matters a lot. I feel like tone matters a lot when you talk about how much money you spent on a game. It doesn't sound as bad when you don't say it like Genizad. But he basically said the same thing. Yeah, I mean, he basically said the same thing that Jenna did, but he said it in a way less, like, annoying and bitchy way, so I don't think it's as bad. Y'all get what I'm saying? Y'all like, yeah, y'all get what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, I still think that's a little bit loose. And I will say, and Glaive, this is also probably one of the biggest pieces of advice I could have given you. Why even feel the need to address the tourist claims? That's my take. Why even feel the need to address the tourist claims? First and foremost, this is my take. Who cares? And this is also my second take. It also leaves you open to say, when somebody complains or states that you don't play the game enough or that you're a tourist, what if you hit them with the, so what? Think about how mad that person would get when you just say this to them. Yeah, I used to play this game a lot. I don't play it that often anymore because it's shit. And so because of that, because it's shit right now, because of what these fucking devs are doing, I'm gonna keep making these fucking videos. You mad, bitch? Go cry about it, pussy. Go write in your diary. Yeah, go get your death note, nerd. Why don't nobody want to do that these days? It's, what are you gonna do? Like, you can't do anything about it. So, well, all I'm saying is that, like, why even feel the need to address that? Why even feel the need to address that? Why feel the need to, like, even entertain that criticism? When I sound it out like that, it makes a lot more sense, right? Just tell them to go fuck themselves. That's the advice. That's the TLDR. If somebody calls you a tourist, tell them to go fuck themselves. That you're just gonna keep doing what you're doing. What can they do about it?
Extends to the niche communities too. There were comments claiming I disrespected the TCG players, and
Who cares? Hey, this is what I'll say. If you play the Genshin TCG, go get a fucking diagnosis, you freak. What the hell?
I'm like, guys, I have a fully built deck. I actually play the game mode a lot before it got dried up, and that is exactly why I feel comfortable saying
I'm telling you just replace these with a bunch of go fuck yourself.
that the majority of the player base ignores it. It is literally my observation. And regarding Enkanomiya, people got very angry when I said nobody goes back there. They called it the gold standard of atmosphere, and I agree. It is beautiful. The music is nice.
If somebody tried to fact check me and say that they regularly go back to Enkanomiya after they're done with the story, you wanna know what my response to them would be? I don't care. Go fuck yourself.
The atmosphere is incredible, but it is also dead content. Once you finish the quest, once you finish the exploration,
Like, go touch grass. Go do something with your life. If you decided that how you want to spend your free time is to go revisit a fully explored area and just go look at it, go get a hobby, bro.
there is literally no reason to return. And when I criticize that, I am not hating on the map. I'm wishing that there were actual gameplay reasons of
Why does everyone feel the need to, like, respond to mentally ill people? Guys, I hope you realize that the people critiquing you, as CCs, I hope you guys realize the people critiquing you are basically the digital equivalent of, like, a homeless guy throwing shit outside. If you were in public and you saw a homeless guy throwing shit outside, you would avoid them. But, like, instead, you guys go up and engage with them. And, like, try to have a conversation. And they're just, like, sitting over here, like, fucking arms like this, just hurling shit everywhere. And like some of the shit is like getting on you. But like, I don't know what it is. You like it or something. And you just keep talking to... Why even talk to these guys? They're the digital equivalent of that homeless dude. Talking with them gets you covered in shit. And yet people are openly going ahead and seeking out these engagements.
Events, combat challenges, anything to go back to that location. I don't want Genshin to be a museum I walk through once. I want it to be a game I can play. Distinguishing between art and content doesn't make me a fake fan. It just means I know the difference between looking at a painting and playing a video game. And while we can debate vibes and tone all day, there is one area where the conversation got messy, and that is the mechanics. For Klee, it was an honest mistake on my part, right? They were talking about the optimizations right after the Hexerai buffs, so it sounded like the fix was a part of it, but a lot of comments and a lot of people on Twitter accused me of doom posting regarding albedo. They point out
So basically what Glaive said in his vid was that there were some baseline improvements to character kits of Klee and albedo, and Glaive said that they were locked. The baseline improvements that you got whether or not you had the Hexerai buffs, he said the baseline improvements were locked beyond the Hexerai buffs. This is also kind of like one of those statements that I'll say is absolutely retarded. Who cares if he's right or wrong about that? The reality is, you will not be using any of these Hexerai characters without their fucking buffs active, so it might as well just be the case. This is these individuals deciding to go ahead, and I'll just let you know where it's from in the video. I know the exact part, guys. Guess what happened when we were on the topic of character buffs in this react?
Okay, hold on. What I got from the live stream, I'm pretty certain the albedo thing, maybe. The albedo thing is probably correct because it's adding like a couple of extra flowers as well, and that the extra flower is what doesn't break, right? The Klee stuff though, the fixing of the animations, I'm pretty sure is just a straight up like kit change. I don't think you need that. The only thing that I think is added to Klee is the fact that like every couple of attacks she does a charge attack.
How about we focus more on the fact that Klee and albedo are fucking dog shit characters that have just not been used in fucking years, and the only way that you're ever going to use these characters is with the Hexerai buffs because they're unplayable otherwise. And so while Glaive might be a little bit wrong about wording over here, I guess it functionally doesn't matter because you're not going to play the Hexerai units without other Hexerai units anyways, because otherwise their kits will be too weak. That's just like the normal response to a statement like this, but instead, because we don't just say what's actually true, because again, like I said before, the point of Bran in this video is to defend Genshin. And if it was truly his goal to make a balanced take that wasn't focused on defending Genshin, because remember what he said, guys. Genshin is in the best state it's ever been. When his only goal is to defend Genshin, of course he's not going to bring in the fact that Glaive's incorrect information here isn't really significant at all, because you're not going to play the characters without their Hexerai buffs anyways. Like, that's just something that's fucking clear and should be clear to somebody who's been playing the game for this long, because Bran himself would know how long albedo and Klee have been fucking useless characters. He would know because he's been playing the game since very close to day one. He should know how long they've been useless, and he should know that the Hexerai buffs are the only way that they'll ever be in the meta. So it's like, it's stuff like that too, where it's just like, okay, what's going on over here, ladies and gentlemen?
Set out that albedo isn't strictly tied to double geo. He can work in Mualani teams or Electro Charge teams because of his elemental mastery buff. And you know what? Sure, fair point. My fault is that my tone and wording was too absolute in saying that he needs geo resonance to function at all. But that doesn't change the fact that this system is bad. We need to distinguish between a buff and a fix. For 5 years, albedo's flower shattering on bosses wasn't a quirk. It was a mechanical failure. It made his kit feel broken and not in a good way.
This is the part that really fucks with me. There was some shit that was like getting said about like albedo's flower in here from like Bran. Like, part of me like wanted to look for it, part of me like doesn't care. I want to get a source for like a reason. But it was just like talking about how like everyone should already know how albedo's flower works. So it's like albedo's flower being indestructible is like not that big of a deal. It's like some shit like that. And I'm just like, okay, now we can't be flexing like our expert opinion and then not be flexing it elsewhere. It's like he flexes his expert opinion to say how non-significant the albedo non-breaking flower is, but then doesn't flex his opinion to say that Glaive's misinfo, like, doesn't matter that much. I guess the thing is, maybe this will be the last time I go back to here. What I'm mainly trying to say is that I've seen and I've heard of the previous reactions that Bran has done to Glaive in the past, and let's just say this is the most closed off and this is the most critical I've ever seen him without leaving any room at all for the other side's arguments. That's the most that I've ever seen him do this for a Glaive video before. I don't know, maybe something happened behind the scenes.
Zealous Zone Zero or Star Rail, when they buff a character, it usually opens up more playstyles. And here, in Genshin, it is doing the opposite. They're unlocking a fundamental fix, making the flower indestructible behind a restrictive team building condition. Why does Albedo need a chaperone to make his skill work properly? It restricts player freedom. Instead of letting us build teams creatively, they're handing us a script. And it's no coincidence that the character who fits that script perfectly, the one who unlocks the fix and provides the best synergy, is the new limited 5-star. And if you don't believe me,
that's the biggest critique that I had for Genshin 6.2 as well. All these character buffs, ladies and gentlemen, they come literally at the cost of you need to pull the newest limited character to make these buffs useful. That's just what it is. Similarly, HSR did a similar thing where Jing Liu became an HP scaler. And so if you didn't pull Hyacinth and you didn't pull Tribi, your Jing Liu's buffs are now completely fucking useless. In a similar vein, I'm 99% sure these Mondstadt characters that have been reworked, they're essentially going to require the newest limited characters to see any level of meta viability. It's not even a prediction at this point. It's basically a fact. When you can look at the track record of Hoyoverse, and whenever they do something predatory in one game and it works out, they do it in the rest of the games. It's a fact. That's a fact as well. Yeah. If they do something predatory that's well received in one game, they immediately take it to another. What was well received? HSR's buffs that required you to pull the newest limited unit. It worked in HSR, now they're porting it to Genshin. Except this time, they took the core passives from ZZZ, which are basically, if you don't have the character that we say you can have on your team, one of your abilities doesn't exist. That's ZZZ's core passives. Another incredibly predatory mechanic that's well received by the player base, so they felt the need to add it to other games. They combined ZZZ's core passives with HSR's quote-unquote buffs, combined two predatory mechanics into an even more evolutionized, more predatory one. I'm actually impressed. It's like these guys are like fusing Pokemon together, but like instead of Pokemon, it's like predatory gacha mechanics.
let's look at the experts.
Don't see him being worth wishing for, but if you already have him, he's going to be a lot more useful. As we said earlier, you can put him on the Mulaney team. You can also use him as a core with Durin to activate the Hexarai buffs, and then basically run him with another Geo for Geo Resonance. That's usually how you're going to get the most value. So as a dual, you know, as a sub DPS for Navia, as a wheelchair core with Chiori, he helps activate her damage. And then, you know, Shalonen, you know, maybe helping wheelchair another pyro carry. Probably not going to be as good as these other two, but still all right. So basically, I think Albedo's will shine the most when paired with Durin outside of the Mualani core.
To sum it up, Albedo is a completely dogshit useless unit that's used in 0 out of 100 teams, and then with Durin, he'll be usable on 1. There you go.
Here, Jello confirmed it. While the free teams work, the premium experience, the version of Albedo where he feels best to play, is tied to Durin. This is a business plan. They created a restrictive passive so they could sell Durin as the best key to unlock it.
And this is the thing. You want to know what's amazing? Is that Hoyoverse knows that nobody pulls Albedo. Hoyoverse knows that nobody pulls Clay. They know that nobody pulls Venti. What better way to extract some additional value out of their old character banners that nobody ever pulls anymore than to make Albedo, these units, the best in slot for Durin? You can just go back, recycle these guys, make them the best in slot for Durin, run them again, and then it's amazing. Because they'll only, on their rerun, people will pull because they're the best in slot for Durin. They will pull, and then they get a double bonus. Albedo will then be useless on every other team that isn't with Durin. And so Hoyo, like, double fucked you. They fucked you into pulling for a Durin teammate, and then they double fucked you because via Hexarai, that unit that you pulled for Durin is now going to be useless on every other team. Think about it. It's actually genius. It's actually genius what they did. It's genius when you think about it, but so bad for the game.
I don't want future buffs to follow this pattern. If they ever decide to fix Daya, I don't want her fix to be locked behind a specific faction requirement just to function. I want buffs that gives us freedom, not buffs that force us to build specific teams.
Oh wait, but they're buffing units though. Oh, isn't that so great?
Calling that out isn't negativity, it is demanding better game design. And you can nitpick me all day about what I said, but I am standing on business and argue that there is a better way to implement the buff. And
maybe this will be the last time that I do it. Let me just look up team over here real fast.
Quality of life into a luxury product. And it sets a terrifying precedent.
Then Wuthering Waves have done the exact same. Then HSR have done the exact same. Then every single gacha game to exist with team building has done the exact same because...
No, there's no game that's done this before. There's no game that hides old character buffs behind the newest limited unit, and that the only way your older character can have meta viability is to specifically only be used with and a specifically coded in mechanic. HSR has done it, where like Alicia buffs specific, Alicia buffs, or sorry, Cyrene buffs specific whatever units, but like no other game has done this. But like I said before, Brand's only mission in this video is to defend Genshin, and it's to tear down every single point Glaive is making using any logic or reasoning possible to defend Genshin, because he thinks the game is in the best state it's ever been. You gotta keep that in mind. That is the only intent on his end during this react. And to go ahead and say that the Hexerai buffs are even close to similar to what any game has done is absurd. The closest you can say is Honkai Star Rail, when they buffed Jingliu to be an HP scaler. But guess what? This would be like them buffing Jingliu to be an HP scaler, and then saying, as a secondary passive, Jingliu does 50% less damage unless somebody from Amphorius is on her team. Then HSR would have done the same thing. But HSR didn't feel the need to add in an additional restriction on top of the buffs. They just really heavily suggested certain types of new characters to be used in their teams. This is just an upfront, hey guys, if you don't combine these buffs with the newest limited unit, you just won't get the buffs working properly. That's just what the Genshin devs are doing, and it hasn't been done before. It's unprecedented. And for somebody to say that this level of predatory mechanics change is the same as what other games has done, guys, it's just literally misinformation. And it's misinformation done to protect his game, but you gotta recognize how dangerous it is to use misinformation to try to protect your game, but you're doing it to tear down somebody's logical, reasonable, and viable points. It's unfortunate, but hey, it's the Genshin Impact the Hoyosho way.
While we're on the subject of casuals and tourists, let's talk about Twitter. I saw the threads, I saw the essays of people calling me a casual, which I probably am, I guess, analyzing my emojis, and trying to diagnose my personality based on 280 characters. Now let me save you some time. I do not take Twitter seriously. I treat that app like a public bathroom wall. Half the time I'm trolling, and half the other time, I'm barely paying attention. If you are writing a thesis statement in my replies, trying to own me based on a shitpost, the joke is not on me. It is on you. But among the garbage, there was one tweet that actually sparked a real conversation.
Everything I said before, I don't even know why he's addressing this, but hey, I mean, he do what he wants.
A few days ago, I asked a simple question. How do we feel about locking combat buffs behind a story quest? And the response was loud. People accused me of hating RPGs, of wanting to turn the game into a spreadsheet simulator, and of missing the depth that story adds. Let me be clear, I love the story. I love Venti. I have been following the lore since day one. My favorite Genshin creator is a lore channel. But there is a difference between story and homework. When you lock a fundamental combat fix, like making Albedo's flower usable, behind a yap fest of dialogue for a character I might not care about, that isn't depth, that is a time tax. If I have to sit through, God forbid.
And you wanna know why Glaive is making this point? Because Brand decided to be a little bit cheeky. I'm locking my reactions behind watching my videos anyways. Like and subscribe if you want more content like this. Basically, he's making fun of the fact that Glaive decided to say, okay, so they're locking character buffs behind this long-ass, boring-ass quest because the quests in this game are dog shit and I don't really like them. They're making me do shit that I don't want to do. Brand, this would be like you locking your reactions behind your viewers now have to manually type in every single link. That would be the equivalent of this. Your reactions are now locked behind not watching your videos, but typing in manually this entire fucking link. Believe me when I say this. People would be far less likely to watch your reactions if they had to go through a bunch of fucking work that they don't feel like doing because they feel like it's a waste of time to get your reactions. And believe me, having to manually type in fucking youtube.com/ like all that shit just to watch every single one of your videos would be terrible. Much like how some people view going through an entire bullshit quest about a unit they don't give the fuck about to be terrible just to get the buffs to make them work. So again, this is Brand intentionally not seeing the point behind the argument and instead using 1% of it, the framing of the argument, not the actual points, to say it's wrong and make a mockery out of it and a joke. And now people are brigading his comment section, all spamming the same fucking thing. Once again, we've also highlighted another opportunity where, I don't know why it keeps happening to Brand, but yeah, his reaction is not very good.
40 minutes official yapping just to unlock a passive ability for my team. That quest stops being a narrative experience and starts being a barrier to end.
Brand seems like a people pleaser in the end, saying he will play or do anything he wants is real. I think right now, because woo-wah content isn't doing that well, I guess this is the thing. Genshin was doing really bad during 6.1 and 6.0, like really bad analytically. And that's when I saw Brand reacting a lot more to like Glaive stuff in a really positive manner. But I guess now, because everyone's excited for Genshin 6.2 and woo-wah is kind of on the low and low because of 2.7 and 2.8 with 3.0 around the corner. It seems like Brand has shifted his tone now. So, yeah, now we're back on the full Genshin Glaze train. Because, I'm gonna be real, this is, and probably after a review, you can kind of see how this is one of the worst reacts you've probably seen on a video before. The Brand video. Like, it is one of the worst ones. I'm not gonna say it's the worst ever, but it's not good.
Entry, it becomes a burden. And the idea that a real RPG don't let you skip is just false. Look at Baldur's Gate 3. It is arguably the greatest RPG of the decade. It has a skip button. Even visual novels like Doki Doki Literature Club have a skip button. Asking for a skip button isn't about hating the writing. It is about consent, right? 2025, consent is so good. It is about respecting the players enough to let them engage with the parts of the game they love and bypass the part that they don't. I want to watch Venti's quest because I care about Venti. I love him, but I don't want to be held hostage by a side quest just to fix my character's kit. Like,
the concept of this is unknown to Hoyoverse players.
Who cares about Mona?
Play the game for what you want to play and don't play the stuff you don't want to play.
I mean, you do probably. I don't. Wanting that agency doesn't make you a hater. It just means you value your time. And
if you don't play every single thing that you can in a game, if you don't enjoy every single bit of content, if you don't enjoy the 1%, you still hate the other 99%. That's how the arguments work in this space. If there's 1% of something that is wrong about your argument, if there's 1% of something that's wrong about your enjoyment of the game, if there's 1% of something that you're wrong about, we will let you know, and that means the rest of what you said, it's all 100% incorrect.
I shouldn't be harassed for that. God. Now let's go to the next point. I retracted my paint analogy earlier because yes, the base tools in Miliastra are free, but let's talk about why they are free, right? They are free because Hoyoverse needs us to build the game for them. During dry patches like version 6.1, Miliastra Wonderland relies entirely on unpaid player labor to generate levels and keep engagement high.
I mean, just say it for what it is. The Genshin devs have no fucking clue what they're doing, and they're begging a bunch of 10-year-olds to do their fucking jobs for them. Much like ZZZ 2.1 was just a foreshadowing. Like how in ZZZ 2.1, like the fucking military heads of like agencies pay a bunch of fucking high schoolers to go infiltrate a compound for them for some odd fucking reason. Hoyoverse is now shoveling development work to a bunch of fucking 12-year-olds in China. It is what it is.
We're the ones building the content. And what is our reward for keeping their game alive? The opportunity to gamble on a separate, expensive cosmetic gacha? This is what I mean by monetizing the ecosystem. We provide the labor, the levels, the fun, the reason to log in. In a fair trade, a billion-dollar company would reward that labor with high-quality skins, earnable in-game every patch. Instead,
They would have a literal, like, Valve system of cosmetics. That would be what they have. Very, very affordable, very low cost stuff, like a market, tradable things, blah, 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 all of that stuff. That's what they would have. If they wanted an actually good cosmetic system, just look at what Valve does in any of their games. But the fact that they don't have that shows that Hoyo really does not really give a fuck about the UGC.
the best outfits are locked behind the Ode banner, or in my opinion, the paid battle pass. It feels exploitative because the relationship is one-sided. Defending that as business isn't positivity, it is accepting a bad deal. And regarding the new boss fight, people called me a Doom poster for pretending it would be restrictive. They said I was crying before the content was even out. But this isn't blind hate, it is pattern recognition. If you look at the last few endgame cycles, the bosses have increasingly required specific units from the new region to clear comfortably. That is a fact. Predicting that the next boss will follow the same trend is not doom posting, it is just paying attention. And even
There's a reason why Glaive is getting these comments.
Be all and end all of Genshin. Dude, the game's in probably the best state it has ever been in right now.
Because without a doubt, if you're somebody that has a pulse and isn't lying, you cannot say that Genshin's endgame is in a good spot. This is genuinely a, like, brain offline moment. Because Brand doesn't clarify what's good and what's bad in the game. He just says as a blanket statement, the game is in the best state it's ever been. That can unilaterally, without clarification, this can be applied to everything. This can literally be applied to fucking everything, right? And when you say, just so confidently, with a full up fucking chest, the game's in the best state it's ever been, and then you have an end game where it literally looks like this, where if you don't have 2 Nodcry units, you're actually told to go brutally fuck yourself. The enemy's gonna regenerate its HP bar 3 times if you don't have Nodcry units. Why do you think Glaive's getting so many comments like this? Calling him a Doom poster, saying he's wrong, saying that he's making the game seem worse than it is? It's because Bran is on the opposite end of the spectrum, saying the game is in a way better state than it actually is. You have a guy over here who's simply stating the facts. But then you have this guy creating an alternative reality of how everything's actually peaches and roses. How everything is actually amazing. And that there's nothing wrong with the game. When you compare this to Genshin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, this is the best iteration yet. But then everything you see over here is telling you the exact opposite. The endgame's in the worst state it's ever been. Are you beginning to see how absurd this cancellation is?
That is a fact. Predicting that the next boss will follow the same trend is not doom posting, it is just paying attention. And even the biggest lovers of the game have
Glaive is alone though. Every Genshin CC says it's good. They're financially motivated to say it's good. You cannot trust them when they say it's good. This is an example. I cannot trust Bran online when he gives the reasons for why he's saying Genshin is good. Let's listen to them.
Be all and end all of Genshin. Dude, the game's in probably the best state it has ever been in right now.
It's a game at war with itself. On one side, you have the narrative team. These guys are operating at a masterclass level. They are giving us Alice, they are fleshing out the lore of the world's border, and they are handling Durin's return with genuine care and emotion.
And if you would notice, bro is so caught up on making Genshin appear better than it is, that even when Glaive is glazing what the Genshin team is doing, Brand's like fucking shaking his head saying no. Let's look on the side of the screen what the transcript is even saying, guys. Like, this is what I don't understand about, like, this Hoyo shill argument. It's literally the most Hoyo shill shit ever. On one side, you have the narrative team. These guys are operating at a masterclass level. They're fleshing out the lore. They're handling Durin's return with genuine care and emotion. Glaive is just glazing the fuck out of Genshin with these.
not have to look for, dude. They were just present. And I will admit that. They were. Most of the stuff that is spoken about in this video is not a problem. And it's being portrayed as if it's the fucking be-all and end-all of Genshin. Dude, the game's in probably the best state it has ever been in right now.
It's a game at war with itself. On one side, you have the narrative team. These guys are operating at a masterclass level. They are
Bro's just shaking his head as I'm saying they're operating at a masterclass level. Like, I don't get this. We don't need to just lie because somebody said Genshin wasn't good.
complained about this exact same restrictive design in the past. We are seeing the exact same problem. I am just the one saying it out loud before the patch drops. And if the boss isn't restrictive and it's actually good, hey, you got me. But until then, I'm gonna stand on business. And finally, we have to talk about quality of life. The irony here that even the most positive voices in the community admit that the daily commission system is outdated. They agree that running to Catherine is just commute. So here's my question. If even the biggest defenders of the game admit that Genshin is lagging behind its sister games like Star Rail and Zone Zero, why am I the villain for putting it in a script? It is not bad faith to ask Genshin to meet the standards set by its own developers. It is not nitpicking to ask the oldest child in the Hoyoverse family is the only one still treating our time like it doesn't matter. I don't want the game to fail, and that's surprising, right? I don't. I just want it to catch up. When you strip away all of the drama, the tweets, the reaction videos, the dislike ratio, the conflict here isn't actually about love versus hate. It is about contentment versus ambition.
What is one thing that a Hoyoshil hates? It's competition. And the funniest bit is when you can use the previous features from newer Hoyoverse games and then compare them to the oldest ones and then create competition within Hoyoverse. Because they hate when something is better than their Hoyo game. They hate the logic. They hate the idea that Hoyoverse isn't perfect and that they're not doing something right. No artifact presets, no relic presets, region lock stuff, exploration lock stuff, daily talent material lock stuff, weekly bosses, all of that. The list goes on for so long. And the idea is just this simple. If within a year and a half, 2 years of Wuthering Waves releasing, Genshin still has weekly locked talent mats, weekly locked boss fights, all of this shit that adds so much clunk to the game that should have been fixed 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and with 2 years of Wuwa under its belt, they're still not fixed yet. They're just not going to get fixed until the game has a massive decrease in players, unless the game has a massive loss in revenue. But what you don't understand is that Brand's on the record talking about all of these things that he doesn't like in Genshin. Things like weekly talent boss max, right? Things like having to go back to Catherine, all that stuff. What he doesn't realize is that saying shit that's just so blatantly bullshit as the game is in the best state it's ever been just influences these developers to not even get close to ever integrating any of those changes. Because why would they ever feel the need to make things better when you have the biggest CCs in the space lying through their fucking teeth to say that the game is in the best state it's ever been? Do you think that saying that is going to lead to more quality of life updates? Do you think that this company that is known for resting on its fucking laurels and only doing shit when it hits the fan, all you gotta look at is fucking ZZZ, by the way. Nothing happens in that fucking game. Oh, wait, everything happens in that fucking game. The devs are always making changes because the game is fucking dog shit. And nobody fucking plays it. That's why there are changes to that all the time. And that's the public opinion of the game. People think ZZZ is bad. That's why the devs keep making changes to it. And so when you're lying through your teeth saying that Genshin's in the best state it's ever been, doesn't that just make it even less likely for us to get actual quality of life updates? Isn't that just another way that Hoyo's going to say, oh, looks like we don't need to have that one change. Look, everyone's saying that the game's in the best spot it's ever been. What are we doing here, bro? What are we doing here?
A large part of the community looks at Genshin Impact as it exists today, and they are happy. They see a finished product and they enjoy it for what it is. And that is a valid way to play. Hey, good for you. And I mean this genuinely, good for you. But I look at Genshin Impact and I see what it could be. I criticize the game because I see the potential being held back by stubborn design choices. I see a world that could be more respectful of our time, system that could be more respectful of our wallets, and gameplay that could be more respectful of our intelligence.
Well, some CCs don't see it that way either, and some players don't see it that way. They don't see it as, oh, here are ways that the game could become better, here are ways for the game to improve. All they see it as is, oh my gosh, look at these guys trying to hurt my precious perfect game. Look at all these nasty Kurobots going ahead and being mean to my little Genshin. How dare they say that they're not enough? How dare they critique them in any way? This is the best state my little Genshin has ever been in.
I made factual mistakes in my last video regarding the patch history, and I apologize. I'm sorry. I own it. But I will not apologize for having standards. I want the game to respect my time with better quality of life features.
My take is that any mistakes made in the video weren't relevant enough to take away from any of the points, and the fact that the only narrative surrounding your prior video is the minor points of incorrect facts that don't actually have any meaning on the actual main point. Since that's the only discussion that's going around regarding your vid, I have to assume that it missed everybody's heads.
I wanted to respect my money by not monetizing community labor. And I wanted to respect my agency by letting me build teams that make sense, rather than teams that just fix a broken mechanic. And here's the bottom line. I would rather be wrong about a specific patch number and have to correct myself than be dishonest about the reality of the game just to keep the peace, just to go away from the drama life, just to be, oh, this positive creator. No, I'm not about that.
Seems like a bit of a shot to somebody else. Ooh, sometimes I feel like Glaive needs to be a little bit more full frontal when he does this sort of stuff. Sometimes I feel like Glaive just needs to really like speak what's on his mind when he's saying certain things. Because for some reason, I feel like that whole toxic positivity note might have been directed at somebody who might have said something along the lines of the game maybe being in the best state it's ever been when there's clearly so much stuff that's so fucking wrong with it. But don't worry, that's why I'm here. I think Glaive already knows in the back of his mind that I already know what he's talking about because I've actually done this before. Sometimes I feel like I know the things that he wishes that he could say, but like he doesn't because he is trying to be a little bit more brand friendly. But don't worry, that's why I like not being officially sponsored. It means that I get to do this and it doesn't really matter. I can do whatever I want. So yeah, I'll be doing whatever I want and uploading this video. Let me know what you all thought about this one. I don't think this cancellation was very apt at all. I think it was, once again, a bit of a exaggeration by certain parties to defend a gacha game that is literally the most predatory on the market currently. Like it's actually the worst one. So yeah, not the best stuff ever, but it is what it is. Let me know what you all thought about this one, ladies and gentlemen, and peace out.